Never try anything you see on the show at home.
Well, there's your problem.
In this special series of Mythbusters,
It's almost too exciting.
the Dream Team tackles their dream themes.
It's scientific!
Testing myths about everything from electricity to pressure and gravity.
This one hurt a bit.
Shaking down the science of shockwaves, velocity, and ballistics. With crazy chemistry,
Oh my goodness.
far-out physics,
Fun for the whole family.
and insane explosions.
Is everybody okay?
Life's burning questions answered. On Mythbusters, there's your problem. On this episode, it's Burn, Baby, Burn, as the team tests out myths about fire.
This is gonna be scary.
While later, they do a 180
It's time to go to war.
and get to grips with ice.
Come on, baby.
It's a feverish ride
That's beautiful.
as temperatures hit new highs and lows. First up, viral myths and Mythbusters. They go together like C4 and explosions.
Whoa! That looks seriously dangerous. I like it.
You know, they're claiming to do this with only sawdust. Fans, they're a little skeptical. They think it's either something way more flammable or it's CGI.
Well, in theory, it could work.
Yeah, even though they say they're not using any accelerant, if the powder's fine enough, you could get that result from just sawdust, compressed air, and an open flame.
Oh, we are gonna have to be so careful.
Viral videos can sometimes be a little loose with the truth, and viewers have suggested this may have involved added accelerant. But the maker says not.
What we have here is the energy source. It's a propane tank.
All you need is compressed air, sawdust, and an ignition source. Time to test if this is for real. To make the sawdust cannon barrel, Carrie recycles an old pipe.
Well, you didn't want it to come all off in one piece, did you?
Grant works on an empty propane canister, just like in the video. Modified to hold compressed air, a high-flow valve should release it all into the cannon in one short blast.
When we push this button, it deploys in less than a quarter of a second.
Heavy-duty pipes connect the canister to Carrie's cannon. And it's ready for a proof-of-concept blow test without flame to see how high they can blast the sawdust.
I think this will work out pretty well. It's light and fluffy.
The canister is pressurized to 100 psi, and
In 3, 2, 1!
That's good.
The problem is, it didn't go that high.
No.
10 feet in the air.
At the moment, it's not looking exactly like the height that we would expect to see,
no, not quite.
but I think it's achievable.
So what to do? Grant thinks he'll get more punch with less hardware. He fits a shorter connecting pipe. Then Carrie trims an inch or two off the legs. Scarface Balachi's already booked the bomb range,
Say hello to my little friend!
where they get ready to blow.
So this orange line right here is connected to the air compressor, and that is the source of air for the whole cannon. And hopefully, that'll be enough to create a huge sawdust plume.
The plan is I'm gonna light the flare. Grant's gonna pull the string, and hopefully we'll get a giant tower of fire.
The pressure inside the canister rises to 120 psi.
Perfect. Good to go.
In goes the ignition source.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Grant releases the compressed air.
Oh my God, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It didn't look like it was gonna ignite, and then all of a sudden, oh, it went up. It was beautiful.
It's not just the size of the flame, but the sound. It was amazing.
It's a towering inferno of nothing but sawdust, tiny particles which burn instantly. When one particle catches fire, it ignites the next almost immediately, causing a rapid chain reaction. Better than the original?
It was way cooler.
With a potential hoax definitively unhoaxed, what next but to up the ante?
So we made our cannon to the specs of the video, and it worked. Now it's time we ramp it up, and we make a giant cannon and see how big we can make the fire!
They've clearly caught the firebug, Carrie included. She wants something more combustible than sawdust, so she tests other fine-grained substances like flour.
That was good.
Next, non-dairy creamer, which is made from highly combustible corn syrup.
Non-dairy creamer, flame burns to my hand and into the cup. It's so flammable that there is a backdraft.
They've found their most flammable fuel. Meanwhile, Tori's increasing their firepower. He's turning this blue hopper into a launch cannon and welding on a 55-gallon yellow barrel. Huge pipes will dump compressed air into the cannon. And let's not forget to pack the fuel.
How big a cup of coffee do you think you need for 3,000 pounds of non-dairy creamer?
Back at the bomb range, the coffee creamer is loaded into their super-sized cannon.
All right, it's full.
Everything is set. So, what's the prediction?
First of all, we know that the non-dairy creamer is much more reactive in air than the sawdust. Second, the orifice size is much larger, 36 times the force, 20 times the air capacity.
If everything goes right, we could set this whole hillside on fire.
As the saying goes, careful what you wish for.
We're good to go.
Tori sets the spark. And they beat a rapid retreat.
Okay. All right, fire this puppy up.
Here we go! Non-dairy creamer cannon! In 3, 2, 1!
That was frightening!
Terrifying!
This was frightening. I mean, seriously, there was a moment where I'm like, oh, crap. This was a bad idea.
When you set off an explosion, you go click, boom. When you fire one of these cannons, you go click, and like, whoosh. It's not working. Oh my God! It's
All I heard in my head was, run.
We should destroy this. This technology should not be shared with anyone.
And just in case you missed the message,
I hope I don't need to tell you this, but don't try this at home.
now, a fiery face-off to warm the cockles of any myth-busting heart.
Fire versus ice. It's a viral video that's been going around where two hillbillies pull up into the middle of nowhere and face off, one armed with a flamethrower, the other armed with a fire extinguisher. They both fire their devices, and fire and ice meet in the middle, and apparently, according to the clip, cancel each other out.
Dibs on the flamethrower.
You don't want to hear any more about the story?
No.
All right, then. Roll the clip.
No wonder this went viral. But the team wants to know if it's a case of film fakery or fiery fact. Time to get forensic.
Well, let's scale it up.
First, they study a film frame to get a take on the distances involved.
There's 60 feet between these guys, which means each of these things has to shoot 30 feet.
Adam sets up a firing range to test a standard 15-pound CO2 fire extinguisher as featured in the clip.
The question we're concerned with is, will it actually fire out 30 feet? Honestly, I don't think so, but that's why we're doing this test. 3, 2, 1. I think that was pretty far.
Encouragingly, that was a good 25 feet.
Dude!
Very close to the required target.
I think it's time to put it up against Jamie's impromptu flamethrower.
Impromptu and top secret.
Even though we tell people not to do what we do at home, when it comes to homemade flamethrowers, I'm just not going to show you how to do it.
And that's that. Now it's time for a proof of concept test and a swift change of set.
Obviously, we can't be squirting lit gasoline around inside M5, so we've come to the San Francisco Fire Department Treasure Island Training Facility.
I'm ready.
All right, fire extinguisher versus flamethrower, small scale. Let's light her up.
Adam claims victory. But what does the replay tell them about this first test?
Here at just under 10 feet, I think I'm about to put it, there it is, I put it out. They're 60 feet apart, so I absolutely need to beef that thing up.
Based on this result, a standard fire extinguisher has no hope from 60 feet. So Adam's making a second, modified extinguisher to give him a cat in hell's chance.
I clearly need more power. I'm gonna start this experiment process by measuring the 15-pound fire extinguisher using my pressure swingometer. And I'm going to be comparing that against all my subsequent measurements from all the modifications I'm gonna make. I don't need a white, billowy cloud going to 25 feet. I need to push the fire back from 25 feet. So I'm gonna start by increasing the size of my extinguisher. I'm gonna go from 15 pounds to 50 pounds. Then, with a few modifications, we'll see if I can get that pressure wave extending out almost 25 feet.
My task now is to make an honest-to-goodness flamethrower. It's 100% illegal. We were able to do it only under the direct supervision of a number of different governmental agencies.
So once again, no details allowed, but Johnny Storm is promising Armageddon. Meanwhile, Dr. Freeze is ramping up his backup fire extinguisher.
Try it out. On the side of this nozzle, looks very much like this. Water comes in here, CO2 comes out here. Hopefully, what ends up coming out of the business end of this cone has a lot more force behind it. Dude! Wow!
The CO2 turns the water to ice, giving the blast way more punch.
Whoa! Wow! Woohoo!
Adam's in with a fighting chance, so it's time to hit the battlefield, where Jamie unveils his beast.
It's my own personal kick-ass version of a military flamethrower.
What could possibly not go wrong?
I've got 2 tanks full of fuel. I've got a 3rd tank full of inert gas at high pressure that I'll use to pressurize the fuel tanks, such that when I pull on this lever, all of that fuel will empty out the end of this gun and burn in about 4 seconds.
So first they want to test the glass safety hutch from which Adam will launch his counterattack come nightfall.
I need to be able to stand in the path of this flamethrower and not get burnt.
Glass house, flame test in 3, 2, 1.
Ah! That looked like it might keep me safe.
It looked good.
It did? From here, it looked terrifying. And after viewing the high speed, sanity prevails. So before the showdown begins, they add more protection in the shape of large side shields.
Now all we got to do is wait for it to get dark.
Eventually, the sun does its thing. Battle stations.
It's hot versus cold at 60 feet. This is gonna be scary.
First test.
Okay, everyone set. We're going hot.
With Adam wielding the standard 15-pound fire extinguisher.
3, 2, 1, go!
don't think my fire extinguisher did very much. But that was awesome.
It was, but take away his safety hutch, and Adam was barbecued chicken.
It seemed to me like I was pretty much bathing Adam in his little house in fire.
That is insane.
I'm gonna have to warn my mom before she watches this episode. She's gonna think I died in there.
The myth is toast. So time to step it up to Adam's supersized water-injected extinguisher.
I am ready.
Jimmy, you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go!
I think I got him.
Not exactly, but he did stop the fire stream. Just.
It almost reached you.
Wow.
It wasn't exactly like it was in the clip.
No. Oh, man, look at that. I am totally beating back the fire. It's definitely not meeting in the middle, but I am successfully pushing back your flamethrower.
How do you want to call it?
Unfortunately, we gotta say it's busted. I mean, the 15-pound fire extinguisher was absolutely no match at all for your flamethrower.
Even the heavy-duty one that you put together just barely held me off, but it didn't look anything like the clip.
Nah, this one's totally busted.
Now for a grapple with the grape.
So our next myth combines two things that don't normally go together: projectiles and wine.
Oh, you're talking about the exploding wine truck myth.
Correct. Supposedly, a semi filled with wine crashed on the freeway and caught fire.
Oh, yeah, and the fire gets so hot that it causes the wine bottles to violently fire out their corks.
How violently? Like, were they lethal?
Well, we don't know because no one was ever hit. But here's the mythical part. Supposedly, the corks flew 100 feet, and when the bottles went off, they sounded just like machine gun fire.
There's no doubt this blazing bottle inferno actually happened, but were reports greatly exaggerated? Did the fiery wine truck really launch corks over 100 feet with a machine gun-like rattle? They'll start with small-scale shop tests to see how far a heated wine bottle will launch a cork. And in the interests of scientific rigor, they've assembled a variety of vintage vino.
It's possible that the size of the bottle, the type of wine, or even the shape of the bottle might make a more explosive cork.
This myth is all about pressure caused by fire. As heat is applied to bottled wine, it starts to boil. That increases the pressure in the cork bottle until...
We're gonna put each different type of wine in this holder right here, turn up the flame, and compare the results.
With a scale to clock speed and a long jump sand trap to measure distance. First up, a plucky little Bordeaux.
Here we go.
You know, this could be my favorite way to open up a bottle of wine.
After 2 minutes and at 160 degrees Fahrenheit,
Oh, that was it?
the cork exits at a dismal 3 miles an hour, barely making it to the sand.
After hearing this story, we got prepared with blast shields and eye protection and ear protection. And we got 2 feet of distance.
But being glass half full optimists, the guys reset with a twist.
So this bottle looks the same as the other one, and it is, but there's one big difference. It's been chilling for a while, since we don't know whether the wine was being refrigerated when it was being transported. I'm gonna throw this in and try it again.
But will the chill mean a bigger thrill?
I think I see it swelling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's starting to push out.
Okay. Woo! Nice.
Although still way short of the myth,
3 feet, 4 inches.
the cold Bordeaux did fly 50% further than its warm counterpart.
A cold bottle and a warm bottle both have the same pressure. But the more drastic change in temperature that a cold bottle experiences might mean a more drastic change in pressure.
So from here on in, they're sticking with cold bottles on high heat.
Next up, Burgundy. Chilled.
But neither the Burgundies
5 feet, 10 inches.
or the Sauvignon Blancs come anywhere near the mythical 100 feet.
Looks like size doesn't matter.
And that just leaves the final wine,
Long, slender bottle, high heat.
the Riesling.
30 seconds on the clock.
All is quiet until the temperature hits 200 degrees, and suddenly,
Here we go. Whoa!
Wow.
Oh my gosh!
It went off the end of the scale.
That is incredible.
result. Maybe because of its pointed shape, the Riesling shoots its cork over 30 feet at 32 miles an hour. Still not far enough for the myth, but all is not lost.
It's time to bring out the bubbly.
Champagne is already at a pressure of 80 psi at room temperature. Let's see what happens when things heat up.
The cork looks like it's pushing out. Here it goes.
Oh my God, it's happening.
It's about to pop.
It's happening.
I could not even see where it went.
It's a champagne moment. A cork bullet that flew 60 miles an hour and lodged in the rafters over 50 feet away.
Finally, we're getting some results, and this is looking very good for the myth.
Time to pop the cork on this one for real.
To the bomb range.
Yep, there's only one destination for this bottle barbecue, and it's BYO's semi-trailer, with its chilled load of champagne and Riesling, the two winners from the small-scale tests.
Whoa!
Actually, in pretty good condition.
Let's burn it.
And with the truck in position, prepped, and the firewood stacked,
All right, here we go. We're lighting up.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
That's beautiful. This fire is burning hot.
So, what about the myth? Will the flaming truck turn into a flying cork machine gun?
I have a hard time believing that.
Tori's not convinced, and after 5 minutes, the simmering semi is still relatively quiet.
Oh!
Here we go.
Yeah!
Heard him.
I mean, it's not like a machine gun you would imagine. It's
Yeah.
more...
Not yet. Hold your horses. Experiment's not over yet.
Carrie's right. Good things come to those who wait.
There's your machine gun.
Hey! Oh my goodness!
Whoa!
This is better than the 4th of July.
In fact, once the gunfire sounds start, there's no stopping them.
Wow, you see shrapnel flying out here?
Yeah.
As hundreds and hundreds of bottles either pop their corks or explode in the fire.
I can't believe how well this is working. After we set the trailer on fire, those bottles started popping just like a machine gun.
It doesn't just look like a war zone, it sounds like one too. The audio element of this alcoholic calamity is confirmed. But the myth is in two parts, so it all comes down to this. How far did the corks fly?
Look, look, there's one right there.
Wow!
What distance is that?
That's easily 50 feet.
You know what? It sounded like a machine gun.
Yeah, but the myth's at 100 feet. That's not even near it. So I'm thinking this is busted overall.
Yeah, I say busted.
Now for a change in temperature with 3 icy myths. A deep freeze is coming, so have an ice day.
This is the ice cannon. 3, 2, 1.
For our first myth, Carrie, Grant, and Tori are going into the heat of battle armed with unusual artillery.
Well, I hope you guys packed your thermals, because this myth comes from the depths of winter in medieval Russia. Now, there was a town, it was under siege, and they didn't have anything to defend themselves with. So they improvised a cannon and cannonballs out of the one thing they had plenty of: ice.
We've accurately recreated the scenario down to the finest detail, allowing you to experience the desperation and the triumphant eureka moment that supposedly saved these Cossacks' skin. But did it really happen? A cannon and cannonballs made from ice? Before they build the ice cannon, they're going to test ice cannonballs with a real cannon.
We're starting with pure ice cannonballs and 8 ounces of black powder, the minimum amount we can use in the cannon.
Don't worry, comrade. They are only shooting ice. How bad could that hurt? We'll use it to chill our vodka.
Hey, come on, let's go dance in the battle.
A pure ice cannonball and a half a pound of black powder with a potential muzzle energy of 20,000 joules.
Eyes and ears?
Surely it doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell of surviving,
Firing! 3,
let alone doing any damage to our dancing dummy.
1.
That was awesome.
I am totally shocked. Not only did the pure ice cannonball come out completely intact, but it was traveling 1,000 feet per second, or 680 miles an hour.
So we've got our cannonball. Now all he needs a cannon.
Everybody okay? Now what I have here is a giant cardboard tube. This is the mold that we're gonna fill up with water and let it freeze so we can make our cannon. So I'm gonna build a couple of different sizes, and we're gonna see which one is the strongest to withstand the exploding black powder.
Before making the cannon barrel, they're going to make and test the breech. It's the explosive chamber at the base of the barrel that has to contain and channel the energy of the blast.
All right, so now that the tubes are filled up with water, we just need to let them freeze, and then we'll have our breeches.
And 1 week later, the cannon breeches are ready for a refrigerated trip to the bomb range.
God, it would suck if this thing fell.
We have a 4-inch wall, a 6-inch wall, and an 8-inch wall. We'll put our half pound of black powder in there and see which one of these, if any, is able to survive the kinds of forces that are generated in a cannon.
First up is the 20-inch breech with 8-inch walls.
Don't let go. Oh my God! I don't know how these guys would have been able to actually maneuver an ice cannon.
All right, this is 20-inch diameter breech in 3, 2, 1.
Well, we just figured out a way to make hail instantly.
That means the Myth is on very thin ice. That was the biggest breach they have, so the only way forward is to lower the charge from 8 to 1.75 ounces.
All right, ice breech locked and loaded.
Once more onto the breach, comrades.
2, 1.
Now that was more impressive. But can a brand new breech contain 2 ounces?
2 ounces. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh. All right, looks like that was too much. I guess 1 3/4 ounces, that's the perfect amount.
Yeah, 2's just a bit too much. So we've got the ball, we've got the amount of black powder, we've got the size of the breech. You know what that means?
Mega ice cannon making montage, that's what.
Look out, people! We have an ice cannon! Ice cannon! Ice cannon!
It's time to go to war.
So this sets up the criteria for our myth. Number 1, the ice cannon has to have sufficient range, meaning that it has to fire about 150 yards. Number 2, it has to cause significant damage.
This is a family show. This isn't quite from a family store. I might have to do a little bit of censoring.
And number 3, it has to be reusable. One time only doesn't work.
That's better.
If the ice cannon meets all 3 of these criteria, then we can call this myth plausible.
With its full majesty revealed,
It's beautiful.
It's an ice cannon.
there's no telling what this cannon can or can't do.
All right, we're wired and hot.
If you believe the myth, it's been 300 years since anyone's been crazy enough to try this completely insane cannon.
All right, this is ice cannon final experiment.
In 3, 2, 1.
And the cannon is still intact!
With a muzzle velocity of 200 miles an hour, the cannonball easily covered the 150 yards to the target zone.
Look at this. This is the ice cannonball. This is awesome. We took our first shot and we reached 2 of the parameters. 1, we made the distance, and our cannon is still in good condition. We can take another shot.
We just didn't get the damage that we were looking for, but for something that hasn't been done in 300 years, it's pretty good.
Yep, the team successfully fired a cannon made from nothing but water. But according to their strict criteria, they have to keep their celebrations on ice until they actually hit an enemy.
Well, I know the cannonball made it all the way to the guys, but I'm hoping this time it actually does some damage.
So with the same amount of black powder and a higher trajectory,
We are hot.
will the ice-cold cannon this time be an ice-cold killer?
This is the ice cannon in 3, 2, 1.
Whoa!
The answer is no. Although the ball more than covered the distance, sailing over the heads of the targets, this myth blew up the moment the cannon did.
I like this. I'm going to start crushing my ice this way.
For this myth to be plausible, we have to have damage and range and reusability all in one, and that just never happened.
For our next myth, we're going to icy Alaska to test a material invented back in World War II. Pykrete was a mixture of ice and wood pulp that was said to be so tough you could build a ship from it.
And supposedly it made a mix that was harder than concrete when it froze. And they were going to build an aircraft carrier out of it, but they never got around to it because the war ended.
So as far as we know, no one's ever tried to build a boat out of this stuff.
That's correct.
Until us.
Yeah.
They're starting at the beginning by making the stuff.
The traditional recipe, if there is such a thing, of Pykrete is that it should be 14% by weight of sawdust or wood pulp, and then 86%, of course, by weight of water.
It's such a simple recipe, there's not even a need for a montage. Jamie mixes the wood pulp and water, and that's it.
Aircraft carriers, huh? Who knew?
The Pykrete goes into the deep freeze to set. Once it's ready, they want to test how strong it is. First, they're going to see if this ice mix is bulletproof.
In 3, 2, 1.
There you go.
That's bulletproof. You weren't lying.
It's tough stuff.
For comparison, here's what a bullet does to pure ice.
We turned it into a snow cone.
And when they do a weight test,
This is killing me.
they find Pykrete is nearly 8 times stronger than regular ice.
Well, there you go. There's
I
your
love
problem.
this stuff.
But Jamie sees some room for improvement.
The reason the Pykrete is strong is because of the overlapping fibers of these wood chips. Now, the reason that it actually breaks under shock is that the fibers are not terribly long, and so they can break apart relatively quickly. So what other kind of cellulose products do we have that maybe would be superior?
And there's your answer. Newspaper. Lots of newspaper. He saturates it with water and then freezes it. And in a bench test, this super Pykrete turns out to be even stronger than regular Pykrete.
Dude, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I like this material.
Okay.
I mean, I'm literally out on a limb.
Yeah, I got it.
They have the material. Now they're off to Alaska to attempt to fashion a speedboat from it.
In case you ever wanted to know how to build a boat out of frozen newspaper, this is how it works. First, you got to get a bunch of newspaper. Then you build a mold and you put the wet newspaper in the mold. And then you build an inner mold to hold the whole thing together. You take the whole affair, you put it in a freezer, and when it's frozen, you pull it out, and then you remove all the mold stuff. I'm so excited. You put an outboard motor on it. You take the whole thing down to the water, and out you sail away into the icy Alaskan Ocean. This is it. It's no return once we open the doors of this freezer. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Ba, ba, ba.
It's a tense process as the boys unpack their precious cargo for its first and possibly final voyage.
That's beautiful. That's the first time we've seen the outside of the mold.
I know.
At the water's edge, there's time for a few adjustments.
That's it. I don't want to catch your stash. You're good.
Okay.
Leaving Master Savage and Commander Heinemann ready to cast off. This frozen boat, dubbed Yesterday's News, has taken thousands of hours to make. And there's a chance with that large outboard motor attached, it'll be headed straight to Davy Jones' locker.
Okay, you and I are pushing. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Ah! Look at that! Come on, baby. Do you realize what this is? The maiden voyage of Yesterday's News, ice and newspaper. Let's go.
Incredibly, their boat is staying afloat. But for our intrepid voyagers, that's not quite enough.
Dude, it's holding up. Let's take it up on a plane.
They want to really push the boat out at speed.
3 miles per hour. 10 miles per hour. 18 miles per hour. Yeah! Wow!
Keep an eye on the motor.
23 miles per hour. Holy crap!
Remarkably, even at a clip of 23 miles per hour, the frozen newspaper boat is holding fast.
Love this boat. Here, check it out. You knew I was gonna do this, right? I'm king of the world. Whoa. It's a little slippery.
But Adam's celebrations may be a little premature.
Dude, we got a leak.
Why don't you fix it?
Yeah!
Although Adam snap freezes the first leak with a blast of CO2,
We've got to keep it afloat.
he can't stem the tide.
The water's coming in quicker than that pump can push it out. I think we should head back into shore.
Okay, can I drive?
Yeah, go for it.
It's my last chance to drive a boat made out of frickin' ice.
After half an hour on the high seas, the guys head back to shore, with the boat starting to disintegrate.
We came to Alaska to make a boat out of ice and newspaper, and as far as I'm concerned, we knocked it out of the park.
They came, they froze, they conquered. But where does this leave the myth?
It looks so damn good, I swear people are gonna think we faked it, even though we didn't. I say that makes it plausible.
Yeah, but let's not forget that this myth is about the original Pykrete and about an aircraft carrier. And given that our super Pykrete darn near melted through in 20 minutes, if you're talking about an aircraft carrier that can go anywhere in the world, including tropical waters, it's going to be sloughing off huge chunks of this stuff as it goes along. That means it's just not at all practical.
How about plausible but ludicrous?
I'll buy that.
Good.
In our final myth, Carrie, Grant, and Tori are going to flush out the truth behind one of aviation's greatest mysteries.
What's the story?
It's the one where the pilot jettisons the contents of an airplane toilet, which promptly freezes at altitude and turns into a deadly projectile.
Ah, you're talking about the myth of blue ice.
Exactly.
According to the blue ice myth, a pilot supposedly jettisons the contents of a toilet's tank. And apparently, at high altitudes, the sub-zero temperatures freeze the liquid into a foul, icy blue missile. First, Carrie wants to check if it's possible for a pilot to dump the contents of the latrine.
So you're an airplane technician. What do you think of our old blue ice myth?
Well, Carrie, as you can see from this cockpit, there are thousands of buttons and switches, of which none are labeled dump the toilet.
Which is bad news for the myth. But if the pilot can't jettison the John mid-flight, is there any way the liquid blue waste can escape?
Failure of components.
Turns out if there's something jammed in the toilet itself,
Any hard object gets lodged up against this seal, it's going to leak.
or if the seals of the access door on the fuselage fail, that could, in theory, create a blue ice buildup.
It's not likely. Is it possible? Absolutely. Multiple components that fail, leading to a problem.
But can they make the blue ice happen? Rather than test on a real aircraft, they're going to create their own aluminum aerodynamic shape to simulate the fuselage.
And what we have right here is our valve. This is what we're gonna have hooked up to a water tank, and we're gonna be doing 2 tests. One where we dump the water completely, and then one where there's a slow leak to find out, can you grow a chunk of ice on the side of a plane?
Forget taking this up to 30,000 feet. Instead, they're heading to a NASA wind tunnel.
Cool.
Wow.
And if you thought you were Mythbusters' biggest fan, check this fan out.
This is the heart of NASA's icing tunnel. It's powered by a 5,000 horsepower direct drive electric motor. The wind comes rushing through here, refrigerated to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
The way we're gonna test this is we're gonna stick our section of fuselage into their wind tunnel.
Does this mean I'm the R2-D2?
Oh boy. And recreate the same wind speeds and temperatures that you would find at altitude. Then we're gonna create a leak inside the valve. Let it sit there and see if those conditions will cause that blue liquid to form into a chunk of ice.
Maximum warp. Sorry, I just made that really
We're trying to
geeky,
make
didn't I?
science cool, dude.
Here we go.
With the wind up to 290 miles an hour and the temperature dropped to minus 20 degrees Celsius,
Our model is holding together perfectly.
they're ready for the first test. A catastrophic failure with the hatch ripped off.
So this is full tanked up in 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my God.
Look at this stream!
Look at how fast it's coming out. That is awesome.
Impressive. But as soon as the liquid exits the aircraft, it's ripped away by the wind. And despite the bitterly cold air, it's unable to form the mythical slice of ice.
Okay, so we're ready to do our slow leak test.
Once again, the NASA technicians simulate the same high-altitude conditions, then sabotage the plumbing for the drip test. And once the leak is leaking,
Oh, let it go!
Look how quick the ice is building up.
they get instant results.
Dude, this is looking great. And it's blue.
That is fantastic. It hasn't even been 2 minutes yet.
Oh my gosh. That is incredible.
The liquid moving over the surface of the aircraft is protected from the extreme wind speeds by what's called a boundary layer.
What that means is that not all the air traveling over the airplane goes at the same rate. In certain areas, it actually travels a lot slower.
Which creates a protective cushion where ice crystals can form.
But let's see if we can get it to fall off. Let's pretend like it's at its final descent, temperatures are rising. Maybe we can get it to break off and find out exactly what happens when it does.
Perfect.
All right, start warming it up.
And as it turns out, when the wind tunnel conditions match those of an altitude of 12,000 feet,
Minus 7 degrees.
we have liftoff.
That thing blew up in one giant chunk.
Wow! Dude!
That was perfect. That is unbelievable. That is solid ice. And it happened so quickly.
And it came off in one giant chunk.
This myth is starting to look very, very believable.
Yeah, but you know what the next step is? What happens to the ice after it falls off?
I can't believe it.
So could this ice survive a fall to the ground with enough mass to damage something or someone? To find out, Carrie's made a block of ice the same size. She's going to drop it from 12,000 feet and attempt to follow it down.
All I gotta do is look at the ice. One job!
Yeah, I got them. They're approaching the drop zone. Okay, the ice is away.
Ah, and so are they. Look, it's staying in one chunk.
Dude, that's crazy.
But will it stay that way as they enter the final few thousand feet of descent?
Whoa! Do you see the size of that impact?
And did you see it stayed in one chunk?
I saw the ice go down, and I swear I saw it land.
You made it!
Wow. Nice!
That is still a chunk of ice.
Check it out. It dug itself into the ground.
Wow, that is a serious impact.
This is the size of the block of ice that we threw out of our plane, which is very similar to the size of the chunk of ice that we formed in our wind tunnel at NASA that fell off. That block of ice reached terminal velocity very quickly, and it left a sizable impact crater. And what's more, it stayed pretty much intact all the way down to impact. Totally confirmed.
I agree 100%.